me today is René-Pierre Azria, CEO of Tegris Advisors. René-Pierre, thank you for being here today.
Good to be here, Paula. Thank you.
Great. Well, with your great perspective on the market, I would love to hear what you think about the current deal flow and level of activity in cross-border M&A.
Well, we are very happy with this year, as opposed to last year. There is a lot of movement, both in the small and medium-sized transactions, but also in the large listed companies or transactions. And we see it all across Europe. We also see it obviously still in Latin America and to some extent in Asia. I think the deal flow will continue to be very heavy, with a number of exits from private equity firms. But also there has been a backlog that was built up in these eras of lower valuation and less bank financing available. All this has changed, with the growth in stock markets worldwide and opening to some extent of bank financing. So very strong deal flow.
Oh, good. Can
Yes.
you talk about some particular areas of opportunity that you're seeing and maybe new or slightly new things?
Well, I'll come to Europe since we're focused on cross-border. I think Europe has this split screen today of the Club Med countries versus Northern Europe. And in Northern Europe, the economies, meaning Germany, Holland, Scandinavia, the economy is very strong. And so the valuations have held up. In Southern Europe, Club Med countries, now unfortunately including France, since the situation in France has been very dire and difficult under the first year of the socialist government. In the Club Med, quote-unquote, Europe, there are a lot of opportunities at much lower values. And again, exits from private equity funds, but also successions, estates, and just the need to consolidate in a no-growth market create very interesting, flexible conditions, I would say, for deal making.
Sure. How about you had mentioned there was an opportunity, the fact that you're raising a new stack?
Yes, we are raising a new SPAC. We are doing so in the UK. We think that the London Stock Exchange gives us excellent governance and transparency. And, our clients, it's not us ourselves, but the sponsors of the SPAC are aiming to raise £500 million of equity. And, remember, the SPAC we used to do the Burger King merger last year was also a London Stock Exchange-based SPAC. And when we did the merger with Burger King, we signed it, and then we transferred the listing from the LSE to the New York Stock Exchange in those 2 or 3 months between signing and closing. So we ended up taking Burger King public in the US that way, through that sort of merger into the SPAC. And here we are raising this, so we'll have, a ton of equity available with which a number of transactions can be done, either with a listing at the end of the day in Europe, probably in London, or a listing back in the US.
Sounds interesting. Are there any words of advice or wisdom that you would provide for other investors thinking about entering these Southern European countries? And
one word of caution is that we find the banks to be extremely cautious when it comes to smaller companies. And therefore, the idea in the past that you would buy a company and roll, discuss with the bank and say, listen, we're the new owners, we'd like you to roll our facilities and so on and so forth, is changed. Many banks now will take advantage of a change of control and require a reimbursement of the facilities or a change of bank syndicate. And therefore, the refinancing has become a new financing. That's a word of caution I would usher. But on the other hand, that's a negative. On the positive side is that I'm always amazed at how welcome American buyers are, in particular in Europe. Be it because of the strength of American brands, the strength of Americana, the good example in terms of governance, in terms of financial controls, in terms of technologies. We find that most buyers that we speak to when we represent US firms, or most sellers when we bring in a US buyer, are very happy to have to deal or to deal with a US buyer.
That's good to hear. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here, Paula.